conversation by bringing you that update that we obtained from the ICE on the issues surrounding Ken Ofori-Atta. And what I will do is I'm going to walk you through what we've been trying to find out and what we found out. And so the update in summary is to the effect that the US ICE has confirmed that Ken Ofori-Atta overstayed his visa. They actually described Ken Ofori-Atta as an illegal alien. We sent an official email to the ICE with a series of questions, and I'm going to walk you through the questions that we asked the ICE just to understand. So first, we asked them whether they are currently holding a Ghanaian national by name, Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta. And number two, what is the basis for the detention if he is being held by the ICE? Number three, whether there has been any judicial process since his detention. Four, whether they are aware there is a pending request for his extradition to Ghana by the government of Ghana. And five, if they are aware of the extradition request, did it influence the decision to detain him, and whether they have any intention to have him extradited to Ghana. And six, are there any public available documents relating to his detention that they're able to make available to us? So ICE responded, and they did not respond in detail like how when lawyers normally do search reports, how the responses would have come, they will address each of the questions. They just provided a general response summarizing their opinion on the questions that had been posed. And this is what they had to say. So I'm just going to read verbatim the response to you. They say that Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta is an illegal alien from Ghana that is facing corruption and corruption-related charges in his home country. The statement goes on to say that he entered the United States on May 28, 2025 on a visitor's visa with an expiration date of November 27, 2025. I take that again. He entered the United States on May 28, 2025 on a visitor's visa with an expiration date of November 27, 2025. Ofori-Atta overstayed his permitted admission. He has been issued a notice to appear and will remain in ICE custody. He will be given due process before a Justice Department immigration judge. And this is the concluding part of the statement. It says that the Trump administration has been abundantly clear. Aliens must respect our laws or face the consequences. Overstaying a visa is an immigration law violation that can result in deportation. And so that is the response that we received from ICE to the series of questions that we have asked. And already we've been placing it side by side with some of the narrative that has been put out in the first place. The most popular one that came out last week, you heard the Attorney General say that, well, Ken Ofori-Atta's visa was revoked and he was asked to leave in November. What we can put beside it is the fact that the November date is also stated in this particular response, because they say that his visa was to expire on November 27, 2025. And so that is a very important coincidental point as to whether the revocation is accurate or not. What they are telling us is that he entered with a visitor's visa. He entered in May. The visa was supposed to expire in November 27, 2025, and that he has overstayed that particular admission. Again, there had been issues about whether his visa will expire in February or not. We have been told that the visa which he relied on to enter was going to expire in November of 2025. And that is the information that they've put out. There had also been suggestions that he had left the US and returned. What they have, because if you recall, it was early parts of January 2025 when he said he had indicated to the chief of staff that he was traveling out of the country to seek medical attention. Again, there were suggestions that he left the US, he came back. What they are telling us is, with regards to the visa that he last entered with, which has expired, he did enter that country on May 28, 2025. And they make the point that, well, even though we had asked directly whether they were aware of the extradition request and how it plays out to it, they, in their description, make the point that he's facing corruption and corruption-related charges in his home country. They do not comment on the extradition matters, except to make the point that, well, they'll place him before a judge, and that generally the Trump administration takes the view that when you are an alien and you disobey or you act contrary to the immigration laws, you'll be taken out of the country. And so this is where we are on the Ken Ofori-Atta matter. We also know that another matter that has been topical for a while relates to Sedina Ationu Tamaklo. She used to be the Maslock CEO. She was standing trial. She requested for bail to enable her travel to the United States to undertake a medical checkup. We know that after the grant of bail, she did not return. She basically jammed the bail. When she was supposed to come back, she went beyond it and did not come back. Subsequently, the state applied to have the trial continue in absentia. The trial continued. She was convicted. The state also took steps to have those who had assigned surety in terms of the guarantees that they had provided to more or less have those guarantees, the surety forfeited basically. They had also sought to do that now. And so the updates also is that the Embassy of Ghana, that's when a public statement issued on the arrest and detention of Sedina Tamaklo Ationu. The ambassador writing H.E. Victor Emmanuel Smith, and he says, I can today confirm that Mrs. Sedina Tamaklo Ationu is being detained at the Nevada Southern Detention Center. My information is that she was detained by U.S. Marshals on January 6 and has since been kept at that detention center. I am reliably informed that acting on an extradition request sent to the U.S. authorities sometime in July 2024, U.S. Marshals arrested Mrs. Tamaklo Ationu and placed her in detention to await her day in court. And so that is where we are on these two important matters. And I want to introduce you to my guest in studio this time around. One of the Globetrotters is not around. The other Globetrotter is also not around. But there is one new Globetrotter who is still around with us. Abraham Amaliba. Mm-hmm. He is a legal practitioner, a member of the National Democratic Congress, and currently serving the nation as the Director General of the National Road Safety Authority. And quite recently, he's been talking about a particular car. Well, the statement was out there, like Voxy, the Toyota Voxy, yeah, and all the issues.
I'm told it's called Kumi Preko.
It's called Kumi Preko.
Kumi Preko.
Okay, that was the VAT demonstration. That's what they're calling the car now. Senior, good morning.
Morning. And I think that the job is out there for us to do, and our roads must be safe. We need to ensure that our roads are not death traps for us. And so this statement I issued was to protect the traveling public and even protect the drivers themselves. We would investigate this matter thoroughly and see whether it is the overspeeding, as people are alleging, or is the removal from the right-hand drive to the left-hand drive that is causing the instability in the vehicles. So we are not doing this with malice. It's not as if we are targeting some people's business. But as a safety institution, our main occupation or preoccupation is to ensure that our roads are safe. So when the committee is put together and they come out with their reports, we'll finally make the public aware.
I mean, there's a part of the statement that generated a bit of controversy. You more or less asked the public to exercise a bit of caution, and people are saying that are you basically like indirectly telling them not to board the cars, or you're saying that when they're in their cars, what exactly are you trying to communicate to them? Because people are like, what do you want us to do?
The first law of nature is self-preservation. In fact, if you want to be mad and continue to be mad, you must first preserve yourself. That's why madmen, when they are crossing the road, will look left, look right, so they can continue to be mad. So the first law of nature is self-preservation. Now we are saying that as a passenger, choose your vehicles wisely. And road safety starts with you first, even before somebody like National Road Safety Authority. So our caution is to awaken the conscience of people. It is your life, you first. So choose your cars, choose them wisely.
All right. I mean, I think that clarifies.
Yeah.
It was very important we had this conversation out of the way. It's not every time that we'll have the DG in the studio. So once we have to touch on some of these matters. Ebo Bachman is Deputy Communications Director for the United Party. I almost said Movement for Change. His team is doing well, so he's happy these days. Ebo, good morning. Thank you for joining us as always. Yes. You want to say something?
I just wanted to greet some important person in my life. A very good friend of mine. It's a chief. Nana Genchi Amwaku, the 10th. And I greet you this morning. He is a chief of Akweda. Have you heard about Akweda Achinim?
No.
Oh, if you go to Cape Telepoint, near Cape Telepoint,
The Western Region
in
area.
the Hunter West District, he's one of the
Okay.
one of the fantastic chiefs you have in the Western Region. So Nana, this morning, shout out to you.
Let me send good morning to the people of Ekwe as well, in the Elembele constituency. That's where I'm from. They said I've not been greeting them, so I've sent my greetings this morning. Dr. Samuel Efiye is a political analyst who normally joins us and contributes to these discussions. I think this is the first time I'm engaging him this year. So, Doc, happy New Year. Thank you for joining us as always. Good morning to you, Doc.
Yeah, good morning and Happy New Year to you and your team and also my co-panelists. I wish you, I think, the best time to meet you in the year.
Doc, maybe let me start off with you. With all we are learning about Ken Ofori-Atta this time around, and I want us to take it from a political implication angle. I mean, it does appear that with more information that comes out in relation to Ken Ofori-Atta, one would have to ask the question that what does this continued controversy mean for the political party that he belongs to? Ken Ofori-Atta virtually for more than 7 years. In fact, it's just the last few months that his role changed and he was made a Minister of State, some finance sort of designation, international trade at the presidency. He was basically the one responsible for the economy under the NPP as a political party. I mean, we've not heard the party as an official organ speak directly to it. With all that is happening and the controversy, does it have any political implications for the party? That is one. And number two, what should be the party's approach at this point in time?
Well, thank you once again. For Ken Ofori-Atta issue always coming up day in and day out, I think that the state's institutions were not able to manage this in such a way that the procedure in which we can get Ken Ofori-Atta to come to the country to have some questions to answer was not well, should I use the word in quotes, organized or structured. Because if the state institutions that collaborated with how they can bring him to Ghana, or as the issue cropped up and the discussion and how I think things could have been well more better than this time. That is why we have all this confusion here and there. But we believe it's not too late as the state, the Attorney General is trying to, and also the Foreign Ministry. These are the two ministries that need to come together to ensure that all the right process, because it's somewhat country that they also have their issues, they also have their laws. So if you want to bring someone, they also have to go through their legal process and other things before they can let the person, because they also have their citizens here. And if anything happens to, they also have issues in their home country. The two countries need to have a way or a system to get them back for some questions to be answered. So in all, I think that we were not proactive enough to able to have these things in place for him to be brought back at the earliest time than what we are going through. I think as we learn from you, from your end, realize that he has a lot of issues in terms of immigration. So maybe after the immigration, and as it was stated, that they also have some corruption charges. But, for the MPP party, it casts a snare in a way that because the GRA and the SML issue is in court, and he is one of the people that is him and the 7 acts, or maybe there are 7. So I will find it very difficult that the court cases will proceed well without him, because it seems that everything ended up with him in terms of that contract. So it is necessary for him to come for us to unravel any kind of corruption charges that has been left against him. And in also, the party need to appeal, or maybe to also have a way. I don't know, maybe they may want to do it behind closed doors. These are politics. And in politics, if you come out as a party, your opponent will see it in a different way. So I think the MPP is trying to tread cautiously so that it will not be seen as a way that Ofori-Atta is being judged already. Let's see, that is how, because you can't be brought to the NBC coming out with statement if the MPP come up with certain issues. So in the political aspect, I think the MPP is trying to be cautious so that it will not be seen as a political game for the ruling government and also the MPP. That is why. But maybe they have to work behind closed doors to appeal to ensure that because we have a lot of people of this party, that is the previous government, in court, and it's seen as branded as a party that people are corrupt on. At the end of the day, I think the court would come up with a judgment. But if you have about more than 5 or 6 cases in the court, and it presupposes that the party is very, very careful so that it will not be branded as corrupt party members, most of them. And I think maybe we can also say that the NDC also will use it as a strategy in their campaign.
All right. Thank you very much, Doc. I'll have you hold on. I'll come back to you shortly. Let me come quickly to Ebo in the studio now. And Ebo, I mean, Doc makes the point about potentially the MPP wanting to be cautious, but this is a party that 31st January, they'll be organizing the flag bearer race. The party's communicators are publicly raising issues about government's oral. They are questioning government's oral that the oral is not bringing results, suggesting that they did better with the fight against corruption and all of that. Here's an individual that was key in your governance of the country. He's out there. All these controversial matters are happening. And the party has not officially said anything about that. You agree that they should do it behind the scenes or they should be speaking publicly?
Well, I think the MPP has been irresponsible relative to the issue of Ofori-Atta's, if you like, run away. I think the party, instead of organizing those useless press conferences, should rather organize a press conference and publicly tell Ghanaians that they are calling on Ofori-Atta to come to Ghana, or they are making supporting government effort to bring the man home to answer questions. Whether they like it or not, Ken represents MPP. I mean, he was the finance minister. I mean, he was the fulcrum around around whom, if you like, everything revolved. And so if the man has run away and is refusing to come, and as a political party, you know that this has potential effects on the image of your party, what do? Do you distance yourself and keep quiet and organize press conferences on unnecessary issues? I think they've been irresponsible. And this is going to, you see, whether they like it or not, this is going to be a very serious blot on the integrity of the party for a very long time. Because, I mean, to think about it, that we were given a finance minister who had a lot of issues before even he was appointed. The party itself ignored those issues. Here I'm talking about the Obotan issue, which is a well-known issue in Ghana. The party ignored that issue and appointed him and backed him to become finance minister. The man, after destroying our economy with the help of Bawumia and Addison, after destroying banks, you know the banks he collapsed. I've told you I'm from Cape Coast. If you go to Cape Coast, where the data bank, the office data bank occupies, used to be GT Bank office. After GT Bank, so UT Bank was collapsed. Data Bank occupied that office. Can't trade if you go to Cape Coast. So this man, after destroying our economy, collapsing individual banks, and for the first time, giving us haircuts that we did not call for, haircuts that we don't deserve. That led to many people dying. He decides, I'm leaving this country. I don't want to come back to this country to face the issue of accountability. And the party has kept quiet all this while. That is irresponsibility. And so, I'm not surprised, because recently, one of them, who used to be former MP for Sekendi, Ejepamesa, he was questioning us as to whether we have any law in Ghana that requires somebody who has served this country to account for his stewardship. Clearly, this is the mentality of a political party, not a mentality of Ejepamesa. So if they were stealing like never before, if after stealing they are running out of the country and don't want to come back, then perhaps it is because of the mentality that in this country there's no law that requires that after you've served your country, you have to account for your stewardship. So, yes, we are going to always make reference to this. And my position is clear, and even at the risk of sounding repetitive, I'm saying that if Ofori-Atta is refusing to come to Ghana, so long as he remains abroad, his political party, MPP, the one that brought him, should remain in opposition.
I mean, last week, I remember when we had, or the previous week, we had a similar conversation. I made a point about the circumstances surrounding his departure, how he had informed everyone, the health issues that we all know about, and whether we are not being too hard on him. Now, with all what we are learning now about he entering, overstaying his visa, and issues that have come up so far, what we've learned so far, does that lend credence to the position that you took, and you still stand by it, that you believe that he is determined or has taken a personal decision that he's not coming back to Ghana to face the law here?
Of course, he knows what he's done. He knows what he's done. He knows he can't face the law and succeed, given what he's done. That is why when he was leaving, the man was running away, but he couldn't have written in the letter, "I'm running away." Let's get that one straight. That health issue, and the man couldn't have written, "Please, I'm running away." So he said he was going out indefinitely, right? So it's a way of telling you that I'm not going to come back.
Okay.
So let's not play the ostrich.
All right.
The man ran away. And another person who has been also irresponsible is the former president, the brother of Ken Ofori-Atta. He appointed him, and when he was appointing him, you remember the kind of things he said about Ken, his academic background, his qualifications and all that. If the man who served in the office, all the things he would do, when the man was the man was borrowing excessively and profiting out of it, wasn't the Akufo-Addo aware? All the things the man did, the Akufo-Addo knew about it. Yet, he has also kept quiet. Now, when you're talking about issue of corruption, let's be serious about it. I don't want to mince words when I'm talking about issue of corruption, because we all know the effect of corruption in this country. We know what corruption has done to people of this country over the years. And so, we need Ken. I am not interested in all the letters and all that. All that we need is that Ken must be brought to Ghana to face justice and accountability. And that is what we need.
Okay. Let me come to AB now. And AB, I just want to read the response again, the statement from ICE, so that I just pick your thoughts on it generally. It says, Kenneth Nanaya Ofori-Atta is an illegal alien from Ghana that is facing corruption and corruption-related charges in his home country. He entered the United States on May 28, 2025 on a visitor's visa with an expiration date of November 27, 2025. Ofori-Atta overstayed his permitted admission. He has been issued a notice to appear and will remain in ICE custody. He will be given due process before a Justice Department immigration judge. The Trump administration has been abundantly clear. Aliens must respect our laws or face the consequences. Overstaying a visa is an immigration law violation that can result in deportation. Last week you had picked up information that the Attorney General basically confirmed to an extent. In fact, in greater detail, just with a bit more detail, and the role that they were playing with the FBI and all of that. It does appear from this statement that they are silent they are silent on the extradition request, but they do make it clear that they are aware that he's facing corruption-related charges in his home country. I mean, what do you have to make of all we are learning this morning?
I think the information you have is more or less a summary of the details. I believe that depending on the questions you ask, for instance, I didn't see a question like, because you knew about it, so you should have asked that question, whether his visa was revoked. So there could have been clarity there. But when you listen to the Attorney General, he indicated that he was asked to leave the U.S. on a certain date.
In fact, he said, I remember he said in November, which in the statement here too, they said that he was supposed to leave in November, but they described it as an expiration, November 27, 2025.
And he didn't. Then also, they were supposed to effect the arrest on a certain date, but postpone it to this other date that he was arrested. But if you put all together and what the Attorney General said to us last week, Saturday, is a clear indication that this arrest of Ken Ofori-Atta is in furtherance of the extradition request. Because in this response, they have indicated that they are aware that Ghana is requesting for him to come back home. So, as I speak now, I think that these responses or statement coming from the ICUM is not remarkably different and has not gone beyond what the Attorney General has told these people, the people of this country. What is critical now is we should wait, because they say you have his day in court, and I'm told he'll go to court on the 20-something.
I think the AG said 20th.
Of this month. Yeah. So we are getting close. I also heard somebody say that that is actually one of his lawyers, Frank Davis, say that the Foreign Affairs Minister was wrong to have made those statements regarding the American government's willingness not to interfere in the extradition matters. Now, when you have a lawyer who is also a political activist like I am speak this way, it will tell you the mindset of the political party's position. You may not have the political party itself coming out with a position in terms of a press statement or a press conference, but if you want to know how death looks like, take a look at sleep. So you can infer from the way the operatives are talking of the party. And these operatives, when talking, will not say anything which is in contravention or which goes beyond the belief of the party. So yes, you want to know the MPP's position. The MPP position can be found in the comments that individual members make. He spoke about Andrew Ejipamensah. For you to come as a lawyer, if he wasn't a lawyer, that would have been a different ballgame. But to have said that there is no law that imposes a duty on a public officer to account, it's a clear indication of two things. Either he is corrupt, as Ken Agyapong himself is.
Ken Ofori-Atta.
Ken Ofori-Atta is. Or it borders on incompetence. Because as a lawyer, and if you have done constitutional law and more of also administrative law, you will know that our constitution is riddled with accountability principles. The entire constitution is riddled with accountability. In fact, the preamble, you see accountability there.
Yeah.
So I can tell you that the way the MPP manage this country, like a criminal cartel, it will be difficult for the MPP to come out and say Ken should return home or distance themselves from the conduct of Ken. And so let's wait, let's see how the court processes will roll out in the US, and then we can take it from there. And 20th is not far.
And finally, just on the Sedinam updates also that came out. I mean, it's one that I've seen people comment that does appear the government wants to do the right thing, but there are also some who are the usual conspiracy theorists who are suggesting that possibility of a presidential pardon in the future may be under the table somewhere.
I can only comment on what I know.
Right now, you just did the analysis connection of the MPP and finding the party position.
Yes,
the party.
yes, because
they are also pointing to pieces here.
Because I found comments made by the operatives of the party, and that's how I could say what I'm saying.
Okay.
But I can say that it was a responsibility of the MPP to get what's her name, the lady back.
Yeah.
Because all these things.
I mean, they sent the extradition request.
I'm saying, were they aggressive like we are aggressive? Well, were they aggressive like we are aggressive? And if we were partisan, if the NDC were partisan, nothing stops the NDC from just pursuing Ken Ofori-Atta and say that, look, the lady has been convicted and sentenced. And so the reason why we are not bringing or dealing with her is because in her case, the matter is closed. But to ensure that there's fairness and that there's already a request to bring her home, this government, notwithstanding the fact that she's a member of the NDC, this government is doing the needful. The other conspiracy theory, that's why I'm saying that I cannot play God to be thinking or trying to know what will happen after here. I cannot play God. And I didn't play God when I was speaking about Ken Ofori-Atta. So you can leave me out in this conversation.
But as a lawyer, by training, sometimes you anticipate what your opponent on the other side will do and you respond to it. So in that anticipation, would you be surprised if she comes down and she's granted a presidential pardon?
Once again, I don't speak for the president. I can't speak to that.
Okay.
I can only speak to matters that are before me. And what is before me is that the Attorney General is requesting for her extradition. Nothing more, nothing less. And when she comes, and the idea is that she should come and serve the remaining of her terms here. I think that's the whole idea. So let her come. When she comes and they trigger another process, at that point, I'm not running away from you. I'll come and answer the questions.
All right, that's fine. Let me take brief comments on that issue. I forgot to pick it up with you on the Sedinam Tamaklo. Good move.
Yeah, I mean, that is a very good move by the government. You see, let me tell you, I still don't understand why MPP, one, they allowed her to leave, two, and also did not make the effort to bring the woman. It appears to me that they wanted to play a game with us. You know, they knew I've said it, they knew what they were coming to do, or they knew what they were doing in government. And so if you remember, at a point in time, the minority leaders said something. I listened to him one time. He was talking about the fact that when the double salary issue came, they spoke to the president to let it pass. Meaning they wanted to play this, I scratch your back, you scratch my back, game with us. So I believe that because they knew they themselves were stealing, and that they would have to have a way out in future, they allowed the woman to live in the United States of America without making any effort to bring her. Are you getting the point I'm making? So I think it's a good thing that this government has made this effort and they are bringing her. If they succeed in bringing her, I think it will be a feather in their cap in respect of the fight against corruption. At least it will make Ghanaians know that this government is genuine about fighting corruption. And it could be a very big political plus for them in future. I believe it's a good move. That needs to be applauded.
All right. Let me wrap up with Doc on this subject matter. And Doc, the same question. The government quite clearly not leaving any stone unturned, showing a commitment that it's not a political target and it's going after one of their own as well to get into the country. Good move, you say?
Yes, that is a very good move, and it will place the government that the government treats all his citizens fair. I think it started during the MP time. Judgment was made and everything, but they were not able to bring her back. So the issue about Ofori-Atta and also her coming to the situation, I think that I wish that even the NDC could have tried to convince her to bring her earlier, so that it will be more a case that can be used to bring Ofori-Atta. So, but it is not something that can be over. I think it's a very good signal, and that will give an indication that any political appointee or whoever that have some questions to answer, no matter your political divide, even if there's any government that is not, you are not part of that government or that party, the government of that day has the right to, or they give a signal that can be brought back to the country for you to answer some questions. So it's a very good.
All right. Thank you, Doc. Hold on for me. We'll switch to the second topic shortly. Some messages here. Stephen Quen in why you say that whether the MPP is silent or possibly protecting his return to Ghana or not, Ken Ofori-Atta will come to Ghana, dead or alive, to face other charges, just like the USA is now cooperating with the government to repatriate Sedinam to serve a sentence. You said you can't agree more with Ebo Bachman about the loud silence of Nana Addo. You put some P word in between. I'm not sure what that is, Stephen. There, we are still doing a cash out. Are we ready to do the draw? Can we do the first draw now before we switch to the next topic? Okay, but yes, but you can still participate in it. It will be coming up on the screen quite shortly. How to participate? Dial *439#, select option 8 to participate in it, and the more you participate, you increase your chances of winning some good money. We are giving 2,000 cedis to 5 individuals today. 2,000 cedis to 5 individuals. That is what we are giving out on a Friday. You get a chance to win 2,000 cedis. You get to be part of 5 individuals, 2,000 cedis each. And so that is what is available for you today. So let's move on and look at the second issue that we have tabled for discussion this morning. And it has to do with the Presidential Economic Advisory Group that has been announced by the government. And very interesting makeup there in terms of the individuals who are part of this particular team. Virtually some of Ghana's top academics and industrialists in the country. First and foremost, the Vice President, Professor J. Nana Opoku-Agyeman, is part of the Presidential Advisory Group on the Economy. There is also Mr. Ishmael Yamson, a private sector leader, also a former member of this same advisory group. Mr. Kwame Mpianim is also an economist and a private sector leader, a former member of this group as well. And a member of New Patriotic Party. A member of the New Patriotic Party. I think he had even tried to contest the presidential election some time back. There was a whole disqualification issue that ended up at the Supreme Court. There is Miss Nana Oye Mansa Yeboah, former Deputy Minister of Finance and Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, a former member of PAGE as well. Let's look at the other individuals. Dr. Kwabena Dufo is an economist and former governor of the Bank of Ghana, a former Minister of Finance as well. Sir Samuel Eson Jonah, you all should know him, a popular private sector leader and an industrialist as well. Mr. Ato Brown is a former World Bank infrastructure specialist and agribusiness investor. Then there's Dr. Henry Kofi Wampai, former governor of the Bank of Ghana. Then there is Togbe Afede, the 14th economist and private sector leader as well. There is also Miss Abena Amwa, the chief executive of the Ghana Stock Exchange, and Professor Priscilla Chumesi Bafo, professor at the University of Ghana and also a researcher, and Professor Patience Asewi Abo, university professor and academic researcher as well. All right, so those are the members of the group, and the purpose and mandates, basically, we are told a number of them, but they are to provide, they are to serve as a high-level advisory body to the president, responsible for providing independent, non-partisan, strategic economic advice to the president, and that's what they are putting out. They've put out there so far. It's a statement from the minister in charge of government communications and spokesperson to the president. And let me start off with Ebo on this matter. And Ebo, I mean, the economy, generally the numbers show has been great. And the question some would ask is, do we really need all these, should I say, crack team of advisors? We need them at this point in time, or like they say in Akan, and I'm say manipi, maybe something like that. Yeah. What do you make of it?
Oh, okay. Even before we talk about the 12 and our expectations of them, I think it is important to commend those whose effort or whose stellar performance delivered the kind of economic stabilization that we've enjoyed in the past year. I think they've done well. I believe that the president himself, Atto, the finance minister, the governor, Dr. Siama, and Sami Jemfi, I mean, I believe that these four people have worked so well to give us the kind of economic stabilization we've enjoyed in the past year. Let me also say, while we commend these people for their efforts so far in terms of the way they've handled the economy, it is important we don't forget something very important. And for me, I'm bringing this up because of our expectations of those who have been appointed. That the following people, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the former president, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, the former vice president and the head of the economic management team, Nana Kuntun Kuninkun Ofori-Atta, and the former finance minister who has run away, Dr. Philip Addison, the former governor who mismanaged Bank of Ghana. The following names that I've mentioned, whether we like it or not, they represent something. For me, these names are stark reminders of how not to govern a country and manage an economy. I believe that we gave them the finest opportunity to manage our economy, to govern our country, and the result they gave us was nothing to write home about. I mean, had all the negatives, destroying every aspect of the economy, with debt overhang, with high cost of living, and all the other things you can think of, and corruption and all that. So it is important we let those who are coming in know that if they don't perform, their names will also be mentioned in future as people who could not perform, like the way Nanado and Bawumia. You could remember Bawumia was presented to us as somebody with magic wand, somebody who was so versed in economics that, I mean, he was going to change Ghana's economy. I remember he said we are moving from taxation to production. Meanwhile, he spent more money on NAPCO than one factory. So I see that the names that I've seen, fantastic individuals. Some of them I've known personally, some of them I've followed for a long time. I believe that where we've gotten to, we've completed the first stage or the first phase of the economy, what we wanted to do within the first year, which was the stabilization. Now, the second phase is very crucial because this time around, you need to consolidate the gains. There has to be consolidation of the stabilization, which is very important. While at the same time, you try to expand the economy to employ more people and all that. So it is important. And so if you know there are people who can help you, why not? And I think that's what the president has done. And these are people the president respects so much. That is one thing we have to take note of. You see, if you have a leader who always wants to appoint people he can control, people with no metal, people he can easily manipulate, then that becomes dangerous. But if you look at the 12, the kind of people they are not, these are not pushovers. These are not people that the president can easily manipulate them. And so it is very important that point is made.
Okay.
And my expectations, you see, let me say that committees don't fix economy. What does fix economy is political will. In other words, no matter how you are advised, if you don't have the political will to take the decisions, because these people are not politicians, they are going to give you some of the advice that will be so critical. Yet, if you weigh it politically, it may not favor you. That is where the challenge comes in. Whether you are going to be, you want advice that is politically, suitable to you, or you want an advice that can heal the wounds of the economy. So it's going to be very critical for the president to deal with the committee, because I'm looking forward to see a situation where the committee will come up with critical issues, policies, advice that would change this economy. So, and my other expectation is that their advice should be taken seriously. We've had committees in this country that were completely ignored. This time around, we should have a committee. This committee, their advice, whether the advice will taste sweet or sour, the president must flow with the advice, implement the advice. Not that I'm going to form a committee, yet I'm going to ignore them. Okay. Now, we expect this committee to give us practical solutions, not academic speeches and lectures. Does it sound familiar?
Very familiar.
Familiar. A situation where we were giving someone who could lecture, who could tell us all the theories in economics. But when opportunity was given to him, he finally ran away from the economy to area where he had no knowledge of. And so it is important that we let them know that we have high expectations. I remember, let me tell you, O-level in my school, I was the overall best student. And I was given a book. I thought I was going to read something. I was given a book, Charles Dickens' book, Great Expectations. That was the book I was given for that performance. And we have great expectations of these people. We want them to perform, to help support the president to succeed. But the one most important issue they need to help us to address, strategies. How do we reduce unemployment? How do we reduce cost of production? For me, that is the most important thing we need to look at as a nation. How to reduce cost of doing business in Ghana? How do we reduce cost of living? How do we increase our revenue without overburdening the ordinary Ghanaian? How do we expand our revenue base without putting so much burden on the poor Ghanaian? It is important. And how do we position the private sector? Most of these people are people who are in private sector, who are giants, within the private sector. So how do we position the private sector to be so powerful and competitive so that we can compete favorably and effectively with other private sector participants in other countries? Because whether we like it or not, we are competing. Because even with the coming in of African Continental Free Trade Area, it makes competition more keen. Because whatever you are producing to sell to South Africa or to export to South Africa, somebody is also exporting the same thing from Ivory Coast. So how do you do in such a way that in terms of quality and price, you can compete out the Ivory Coast producer or the private sector person? That is the most important part, because if we are not able to expand the economy through the private sector, we can't generate jobs for the youths. And you can also generate revenue through income tax and corporate tax. And we can also export more to also increase our, if you like, forex revenue. So it is important. It is important. And this will also help us, they should put in strategy that will help us to reduce borrowing. Like not the kind of borrowing we had in the past 8 years under Akufo-Addo Bawumia, where anytime you borrowed, the finance minister benefited. We don't want that situation again. So they should help us to also manage the existing debt, very well, so that we can move forward as a nation. I have great expectations.
Yeah, when you have great expectations because of their background and everything. I mean, the last time someone said, "What a solid team," we ended up in big trouble. You effectively said it's a solid team in a different way.
Let me establish the difference here. You see, the solid team was political. And the solid team was not even allowed to work. That's why I made reference to that. The solid team was very political. And the work of the solid team, remember at a point, when the economy was doing fairly well, because we were under IMF, Osafo Mafu came out to say that whatever was happening in the economy, he attributed it to Dr. Bawumia. I remember when the economy was doing very well. But when the economy was not doing well, what did you see? The man himself ran away from the economy. The solid team was political. But look at the composition of this group. That's why I'm saying I have more confidence in this group than the usual, economic management team that is made up of political appointees, like the ministers and all that. So let's see. I mean, they should know that if they don't perform, their names will be mentioned here. Yeah, that one.
Right, let me go to Doc on Zoom before I come to AB in the studio. Doc, fair to say a solid team, but the question still remains, is this necessary?
Yes. When you hear these names, it just comes to mind when Dr. Bawumia, the former vice president, would say a solid team. And I agree to Ebo that that was a political team, maybe. But when you look at this team, it is an advisory committee. When you look at them, you wonder that we have these Ghanaians with different backgrounds, experience, age-wise, all of them, I don't know, but they are the best. And just bringing them together is one of the good steps that President Mahama has made towards the economy. The economy needs to be stabilized. At least there has to be a growth. Honorable Tufo Sen and government, as a Bank of Ghana governor, has made a good step by stabilizing the economy. So you need people who might be outside. And I think that is what the President Mahama wanted to take that step so that they can give an advice. When you talk about these advisory committees, most of the countries in the world have been having these committees, especially the president, prime ministers, for them, because sometimes if you are not careful, you might be swayed by your political appointees and you might fall along the way. So, but these people behind will give strategic direction, will give strategic perspective, will study the issues, will monitor how policies are being implemented in relation to the research agenda, because I think that they have to model their advice in relations to what? To the research that the government promised Ghanaians. So that is where, because when you go to India, they also have these economic advisory committee. We have Pakistan, we have even Nigeria, they also have this, and we have Virgin Islands, we have a lot of these countries using this economic advisory committee to advise their various leaders. And it's a very good step. My concern would be, we the academics, where that a lot of us, we have a brother, everybody has his own speciality. When we meet, that is where you see that economic pomposity will come in. And then, so I was looking at it and I said, hey, will this committee not be clouded by various skills and experience? But they are matured enough and they believe that they can, they have Ghana at heart, and they can compromise and try to come out with a fair ground and a concrete advice to the president. Is one of the groups. I side with Bebo that this is an advisory, and when the advisory goes against political decisions, how will the government, the president, take it? And that is where we need to be have a little bit of concern, because when they give the advice and at the end of the day it doesn't go in line with the government way, it comes in. And again, the areas that the government that this advisory committee needs to look at, when you look at the research agenda, you can realize that they have to give a direction to our gold. They have to give a direction to our cocoa, oil. These are primary resources or resource areas that I think the economic advisory, because they have to give a direction towards the gold and the gold board, how these issues, the Bank of Ghana and those things. We talk about cocoa. You see, cocoa is not performing well. I think about some few days ago, we had the chairman of the cocoa board, Honorable Fuso Ampofo, trying to let us know that they have some issues and the farmers are not. They have to give a strategic direction. At the same time, I am quite concerned about our agricultural sector, where it is not linked up with technology. They have to give a direction towards agricultural technology in a way that we can modernize our agric, and also have, and I think Honorable Ebo also mentioned about our debts. We need to have, that is, he talks about revenue mobilization. Our debt is also an issue. How the current government will not accumulate more debt as against what? Revenue mobilization. They have to look, and also the big push that the president has mentioned, they have to give strategic direction towards some of these projects that the President Mahama had. So they need to have an outline. And in conclusion, or at the end, we should have, they should give us an advisory way of trying to solve these youth unemployment through whether digital platforms or digital or ICT. So the youth should be a focus for this committee for us. I believe that if they can take these advice, because they are mature, they all have whatever it takes to be where they are. So I think that they will not give any advice that will politically centered, but they will give an advice for in the relations to Ghanaian, that is our economy and also the Ghanaian in general. And I wish them well, and I hope that they will let us see a difference when the year ends for the economic development policy.
And finally, briefly, Doc, before I come and wrap up with AB in the studio, I mean, for academics and private business people who are not politically affiliated, a lot of the time when they take up such appointments, the perception and the commentary, particularly by opposition elements, tends to suggest that, oh yeah, so all this while you were leaning towards this government, even though some of them purely would take it up wanting to help the nation. I mean, is this what should be the thinking around it in the conversations that we'll be having going forward on this particular appointment that has been made?
I said what you are saying is true, but my advice is that the politicians should leave with the academics. They should leave us. You see, sometimes some of these comments made us not to involve ourselves in some of these government activities, because you might be branded as a political activist or maybe a member of the party, but there's nothing wrong. But in that case, because some of these things affect our activities on campuses, our various campuses, where you might be branded as this party member or whatever, but we are all Ghanaians at the end of the day. But I think that the political activists or maybe the partisan politicians should allow us to also contribute in our little way, the quota, because I know one or two of them, they are very good researchers, and so they can provide data, they can provide what is needed for these businessmen, these governance on the advisory committee. So I believe that if they will also allow us, our job is research, our job is to have that information. So if they can give us that opportunity, I think it will help all of us, but not to brand us as politicians.
All right. Dr. Samuel Ofori, thank you so much for joining us as always. We'll leave it here with you for now. Thank you so much, and we look forward to engaging subsequently. Let me come. I mean, when Doc made reference to the pedigree of those on board and whether they can equally work together, I was just thinking of, for the football fans, the Galacticos of Real Madrid, and how the head coach was telling the players to do a guard of honor for the mighty Barcelona, and the players, one of the players was signaling that they should leave, and they all left. The coach has been sacked eventually. We saw what happened, played out there, but there's a powerful coach in charge. You agree, Amy?
Yeah, you just want to tease Real Madrid people.
There's a powerful coach in charge and a solid team. You agree?
I think it's a master stroke from the president. Yeah. It's a master stroke. These are colossuses. That's a plural of colossus. So nobody should say that I made wrong. These are colossuses. Now, the fact is this. These are people who can easily walk away if they think that the president is not heeding to their advice. In fact, these are people who will not take per diem. They have seen it all. From academia, from the public sector, and from the private sector. Now you talk about the goal board. Who can at least guide the process more than Sam Jonah? I think they were carefully and selected. You know? So when this came up, I heard people say, oh, we don't need this committee because we are already doing well. No. I checked from the US. In the White House, we have what is called the Council of Economic Advisors in the White House. And there's another committee called the National Economic Council in the White House. Are we saying that America is not doing well? That's why they have them. Normally, if a president is campaigning to become president, if you notice, there's what is called the Campaign Advisory Committee. Now, this committee, after you win power, this committee will now replace the Campaign Advisory Committee. So this is a committee which would constantly have the president's ear. And you don't need to be in the doldrums before you set up this committee. Where we are now with this committee and the galaxy of men who have populated this committee, you, him, and myself.
I have a name.
So, Ebo,
Yes.
and then you are Akabule. And my good self, can now go and sleep, knowing that apart from the economy being in the hands of the competent Atto-Forsen, there's also a buffer. God, touch wood, say Atto-Forsen is beginning to misbehave. These people can whip him to lie. You see? So the various buffers and the fact that the president himself has decided to mortgage himself to these people, they can tell the president right in his face what is wrong and what is right. So the NPP should be worried. And they should be worried that this kind of structures that are being put in place is actually meant to ensure that we don't hand over. This is the time that when you say you won't hand over, there's merit in it. You don't misgovern a country and say, we won't hand over, we won't hand over. This is the time. This is the way not to hand over. This type of thing is the way not to hand over.
You don't hand over
because
by winning the election.
You
just win it.
Exactly. So these are all put together a winning election team. So I think that let's congratulate the president for this one, and let's ensure that they do their work well and provide the goods that we all need, which is to deliver for the people of this country.
But before you come in, AB, I mean, the last time a similar thing was done, I remember you remember the three wise men? We heard them complain that they were not getting even access to the president. And Ebu makes the point rightly that substantively it will come down to the political will, because if the president does not like what he's being told, you decide that, well, I don't want to hear it anymore. You agree with that point?
We have a unique president. I don't think so many countries have gotten this type in Africa, where a president goes and comes. This man has learned his lessons in the past. And if you see, his current administration is all about correcting the wrongs of the past. I am not going to go, because I wasn't privy to the matters relating to the three wise men, but if that didn't work, knowing and seeing what I'm seeing now with the president now, I see him correcting what went wrong in the previous administration. This one too will be corrected.
Okay.
But for those who say that if these people are smeared because they've taken an appointment and so people will begin to read politics into it, I say that these people should focus on delivering for God and country. It is not about NDC, it's not about MPP.
Okay.
We are now at a stage where we want this country to move beyond where we took it from. And these are the people who help the president to do that.
Okay. I mean, sometimes I forget there are younger listeners, viewers watching. Someone is asking me who are the three wise men. Sorry. Just to put it in context, Manda Mahama one, there was Cletus Avoka, Alban Babin, and I think E.T. Mensah. It was an advisory team that the presidency set up at the time to advise the president, and we heard them complain subsequently that they were not even getting access to the president. So that's what I was referring to. And Ebo, you wanted to make a point?
Yes, I wanted to make a point. You see, I want to believe that some of these people have been advising the president behind the scenes already. I mean, that is my belief. That I don't think maybe perhaps the president would want to make it formal now, but I want to believe that some of them may have, advised the president behind the scenes. But it's also important to note that the president has crossed over to appoint or to choose MPP member, Mr. Kwame Pienim. And if you have listened to that man and the things he said in the past that the MPP did not take him seriously, you realize that the president has seen something good. I mean, of course, as for Mr. Kwame Pienim, you don't need to. I mean, what he's made up of is known. I mean, it's known. So I'm happy the president has now, crossed over to pick that man to help in his government, and also it is important to mention that once they are going to advise the president on the economy, from time to time, you should be able to know if it will be possible. You should be able to know the kind of advice, the kind of work they are doing. Their work should not be only at the background. They should be able to engage us from time to time for us to know what they are really doing and some of the things, some of the, if you like, advice they've proffered and all that. I think it will go a long way to help us for us to be carried along by this committee. And it's AB says something. I mean, President Mahama has so far shown to be a very wise president. I mean, if you look at the way he's doing things, and I, of course, you see the contrast is so obvious. You see, it's because we just had one, and we're having another one. You could see the contrast, and the way this one is approaching things, and if his body language, even if he's even in public. I believe that he has endeared himself to the.
There are those who say it's because of his experience. They make the point that 8 years at the presidency, vice president, president sits home for 8 years and he comes back. I mean, they say that there's no one we've not had a more qualified president by way of experience than him, and that is what they can only expect.
And he's also a legacy president. And let me tell you, one thing I've come to like is the fact that he knows that in 2027 he's going to be the president of AU. And therefore, knowing that you have something big or something, if like something bigger ahead of you in terms of becoming the president of AU, would also guide him as to how to approach this, because
But I disagree with you because
Okay, on which of the points?
on the point that he's gotten this experience, and so that is how come his posture is like what Ebo is saying.
Okay.
Character is like pregnancy. No matter how you try to suppress it, it will show. You know, Akufo-Addo came and rebranded himself. He was for the man, for the people eating into, is it Dansoma with
Taking
people?
Trotro and all
Taking
that.
Trotro. But when the power came, we saw it. So the character, you must have the character not to be like that. Not to be like what? Like the Akufo-Addo. Before your experience can guide you. You can have all the experience in the world, but if your character is one that puts people away, it will show. So it's not about that. I just want to tell you.
That's fine. That's fine.
But are you closing?
yes, we are about closing.
Okay, I want to say, I have a friend, you know. He's, you know, those days in the 70s and 80s, those who are old like me, those days of Mama Aqua, Adolf Amma playing for House of Folk, Adai Chenchenhine for Kotoko. He was also in Tamale, Northern region. Clifford Adai. He used to play with Mumuni Gamel, Mohamed Cho and co. He's my mentor. Growing up, I wanted to play football like him. Clifford Adai. Those who are old like me will hear of him. But he's an MPP person. And I want to tell him that he needs to cross over. So Clifford Adai, good morning.
That's Abraham Amaliba, Director General, National Road Safety Authority. He is a legal party member of the NDC as well. And
but today I forgot to greet the people of Cape Coast.
Yeah.
You know the people of Cape Coast, they have some saying. I don't want to quote everything, but it ends like "Eyo Gwaden, no Gwan yo be." Do you understand?
What has Ogwa done to you that you have not done to Ogwa?
Yeah, like whatever you do to Ogwa retaliate. And so somebody told us that he was going to build airport and harbor for us. Let's not forget that he lied to us. He said, "You Ogwa then, no Gwan yo be." Okay,
landlord Borga D-line, you say that Russia-Ukraine war ongoing, but cedi is stable and inflation is down. U.S.-Venezuela tension ongoing, but the cedi is stable and inflation is down. Serious protests ongoing in Iran, but the cedi is stable and inflation is down. But Russia-Ukraine war was seriously blamed for economic mess from 2022 to 2024. It doesn't matter how many legs kick the ball, the owner would always take it home at the end of the game. Kudos to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, my political godfather, Abraham Amaliba. That is coming from landlord Borga D-line. I didn't know you were providing political mentorship to
I know him very
the
well.
young and old and all across. This one here from Ralph, you say that you wish Ofori-Atta is tried in absentia and brought down like Sedinam Tamaklo, so that straight into prison when he's brought down. Our judicial system will frustrate the case. You say that we can mark it and see. Aziz Donla, you say that it's obviously clear that the economic management team by HE President is the best, most efficient, effective, reliable, and attractive team. Certainly the future is bright for this country. Best wishes to Professor Sharif Khalid and Honorable Tanko Rashid. That's coming from Aziz Donla there. There's a final one. He said that there's a far difference between a responsible opposition and irresponsible opposition party. That's what the UP are doing. They give advice and solutions, and they criticize when the need arises to put the country in the right direction. Just listen to Ebu. That is coming from Prince Nana York there. Do we still, I understand we still have Doc on the line. Doc, we'll give you the final word, and maybe for a minute you can also briefly touch on the whole, this whole conversation around the transport issues. People are not getting cars along the roadside. Just briefly, just wrap up for us and let's go.
Well, maybe he mentioned about Foxy. I think in Kumasi Ashanti region, call it in Kukonkete. So I think they have to change the name.
You call it what?
They call it in Kukonkete.
Yeah.
That's how they call that a car. So
Is it called a good
yes, yes.
But these are not getting cars. But the name I've heard is Kumi Prekun. So that's the name I've heard.
That name will not brand today. The thing called the will be a good brand for the research agenda for so don't worry. That is how we call it here. Anyway, for the transport, I think that the government has to come in immediately because in Kumasi we also have that situation as well. We have been experiencing a lot of traffic and also human traffic at various points early in the morning and also in the evening. I think it's getting out, and then that is what why the drivers are taking advantage of to charge point by point. Stop, that is stop by stop. You just take it and then you add another, then you take another one. So I think the government need to come in immediately because it might be seen as a national security threat in a way, because when people, these things are not handled. I think they also have other buses, mass transport and other private companies. Immediately the government can get in touch with them so that they look at the route where there's a lot of human traffic and then tends to have these kind of problems stop immediately. It's getting too much.
Okay. I know I signed. Thank you very much, Doc, for joining us, Dr. Samuel Ofori. I know I signed out my guest in the studio, but let me just pick brief comments on the transport issue. Able first, then AB. Then
yeah. Transport issue is very important. But before that, Mr. President, hand over GTP to this advisory group. Hand over the GTP we gave.
The Great Transformation Plan.
Yeah, the president should do that. It will help all of us. And you see, one thing we are not taking into consideration whenever you are discussing this issue is the issue of productivity. Productivity, labor productivity in particular. That people go to work late because of this situation, and they get home after work late, tired. So they wake up tired, and they don't go to work early. So their output, in terms of what they give out, is not enough. Okay. So it affects the overall performance of the economy. So it is something that we need to take into consideration and solve this problem. So bringing in public transport is very important. I don't know. You see, sometimes when you go to school, it's only WAEC exams that you are not supposed to copy. But in life, when somebody is doing something and the person is successful, you can copy. You can go to UK, you can go to China, other countries, and see how they've done theirs. And you copy, dito. You copy it. You see, but we can also be successful with our transportation system if our road networks are good. So let's look at, these are some of the things, and these are economic matters. It's not social matters, these are economic matters as well. So it is important we address this issue once and for all.
All right.
As a nation.
DG.
Well, we don't need to go to those countries that you are talking about. We were in Rwanda with my transport minister.
Yeah.
Rwanda has a perfect transport system.
Yeah.
And I think that we went there not because of the transport system, so we weren't focused, but we had a feel of it. I think that we need to go back to Rwanda and get their transport system. And even how they control the way the owners of vehicles put on charges. In Rwanda, there's a central committee that deals with the prices. You can't just get up and
charge what you have to do.
So I think we should go back. At Rwanda Corporation, they have all that information. Yeah. And when you go, so I think we should go back there. South Corporation, there's nothing wrong with you copying from your colleague. Yeah. And we are all in the south of the world. Yeah. So let's look at Rwanda's experience.
All right. That's all time would allow us this morning. We'll leave the discussion here. Thank you all so much for sending your messages. There's a final one I didn't take. Musa Batwa in Asawasi, you say that it's Ofori-Atta issue raises serious questions about the earlier handling of the matter by the West, which appeared lackadaisical at the initial stages. And so you make the point that the continuous silence of President Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is questionable and does not inspire public confidence. We are still doing the cash out. We are giving out 2,000 cedis to 5 individuals. So on a Friday, dial *439#, select option 8 and proceed. And we always say, the more you stake in terms of more tickets, you increase the likelihood of you're winning. And I say always, it's simple mathematics and probability. So you stake more, we'll pick at random. Your number appears more, so you are likely to be selected as well. Are you looking for a university that will prepare your child for the future? Then Academic City University is the best choice for you. At Academic City, we do not just teach, we nurture creators, innovators, and leaders who shape tomorrow's world. We offer undergraduate programs in engineering, computational sciences, business and communication arts, and our BSc in artificial intelligence and robotics engineering are the first and only of its kind in sub-Saharan Africa. With world-class facilities, industry experienced faculty, students do not just learn the latest technology, they actually create it. And working professionals and young graduates, we have got you covered as well with our MSc programs in cybersecurity and data science analytics, as well as our professional certificate programs. At Academic City, our programs are practical, relevant, and future focused. You can call us on 026 269 3870, 026 269 3870, or visit act.edu.gh for more information. Admissions are open now. Academic City, make your mark. And I always say Prof. Enoch Opoku, a regular contributor on our Friday, a Globetrotter as well, teaches there. He's a big man in that university, so go and learn